Hi everybody, welcome back to our impromptu make as we go along kind of podcast or content channel. Action Big Ideas. Everything is just about learning like we were born to do. This is proudly brought to you by the Thought Leader Academy, which is part of Rockstar Consulting. And today I am joined by Thulani. So hi Thulani. We're making
Hi.
Hey, we're making this content for all kinds of people, small business owners, people that work in companies, in learning and development, really all sorts of and all kinds. And your topic that you've chosen for today is for small businesses. So if you're a small business out there, you're definitely having challenges with red tape. That's the topic that Thulani has chosen for today. Thulani and I go way back. He comes from the contact center industry, or from phone banging and door knocking and hardcore sales into the contact center market and into leadership. And after he spent a good few years in leadership in the contact center industry, in insurance, financial services, debt review, he then started his own company of training and recruitment. So he would source people, train them, giving them the skills, and then place them in various contact centers. He now has a few different businesses and is also part of the Thought Leader Academy. And he's joining us today to share some content over the challenges and to connect with people and even communities in and around these challenges. And then as usual, we'll end off with some sort of workaround or something that you can do in and around these problems. So we're not just highlighting them, we'd like to talk about how we can, as a little community, work through or work around these problems. Thulani, morning.
How's it okay?
Hey. So tell us, why did you choose this topic, man?
Well, I chose this topic because it's always been an impediment to small businesses, and a topic that we haven't been able to get around. The obvious requirement when you look for business funding would be the proper business plan and stuff. But I think most of our people would have a very strong idea of the business they want to do,
Yeah.
and how it's going to pan out and how it's going to generate sales. Because I know that with any business there are sales involved, especially if there's marketing. Marketing in itself is sales.
Yeah.
Because you market for people to buy. So
Yeah.
one would have this
Sure.
extraordinary idea of a business that they know. They have this vision about it. And as you also would put it, that if you have a vision about something, especially a business, not everybody is going to understand your vision because the vision is yours. They would actually go on to call you crazy because the idea lives in you until you are able to explain it and portray it and depict it for people to understand. Now you have this simple but strong business idea, but your impediment or your barrier would be the funding, and you have to apply for funding. That is where red tape comes in or is involved, because you have to adhere to certain specifications of requirements in order for you to get this funding.
Right.
And maybe your business idea wasn't built around this model that they want you to depict. You have this simple idea, you know your target market, you know how to sell it, you know you have your leads, and you know how to get to your target market.
Yeah.
But in many cases, you will never be able to qualify or get that much needed funding because you have not represented your business idea and conform to whatever requirements they want or wanted by the bank or wherever you are applying from in order to get that much needed funding. So that's why I'm very passionate about this topic, because it is something that we are still struggling with. And
Yes.
when I say we, I'm talking about up and coming business people,
Yes.
or people who want to have businesses and run their business, because as you know, employment is not for everyone, and little did you know that you are also in the process of creating employment. So a lot of people are going to lose out on what you are coming up with that can prosper if nurtured the right way, and the so-called red tape is lessened, if not removed at all. Of
1,000.
course, we know that. Of course, we know that the government and also banks themselves are businesses. They want to see that if we give you this money, you are actually going to be able to pay it back.
Yes.
Which is why this red tape exists in the first place.
Okay. Okay, so just on one point in what you said, that, you know, sales and marketing being the same. In a big company, you won't see them being the same. But in small businesses, you generally have the same people working on sales and marketing. And if you're a solopreneur, it's just you, you know. So let's dip into our slides. Our agenda for today is red tape, you know, what it is. And then our next topic is Africa is an oyster for young entrepreneurs. What is the government's response, you know, to red tape? And what are the workarounds, if there are any? Okay, so let's start with red tape. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
So Thulani, what are the effects of red tape on business funding? What is red tape, firstly? What is red tape? For those that don't know what it is, what is red tape?
Red tape, I would put it as impossible requirements put in place for
Yeah.
one to qualify,
The hoops.
for one to qualify
Yeah.
for this so-called funding.
Yes, the hoops we must jump through. And the carrot that's on the other side are normally very large carrots, large dangling carrots on the other end, right? So, what are the effects of red tape on business funding?
Well, the one big effect was that people don't reach their goals, their business goals, because of this red tape.
Yeah.
Because you would have gone and sat in meetings with your business partners trying to overcome and meet these requirements, having set your own business plan in the first place. But when you get to that particular possible or prospective funder, then you see that everything that you have created, working tirelessly, having sleepless nights, working through, is not actually what they want. And they haven't anyway created a template as to say, this is what we need in order to fund you or to accept a possible successful applicant to what you want. It's like it's a setup for a failure for most of these businesses. They just want you to go there in your suit and your big words, big business words, but you're actually never going to get what you want, because they know that you're never going to meet their requirements. They already know. It's like going to being invited for an interview, say, here's the job, this is the requirements for the job, apply. You apply, they call you for an interview, but they know exactly who they want.
Oh, Thulani, that happens.
Exactly who they want.
That happens so many times. It's they earmark who they want, and then it's just a matter of formality that they see other people for an interview, knowing that those people were. I think that's a perfect example and analogy that a lot of people can relate to. That makes a lot of sense. And can you give us some examples?
Okay, I can make one big example, which I think is going to be also thought-provoking, and other people have got their own stories around the what word can I use now? The institution, yes.
Yes, sir.
Check, for instance, NYDA. You would be invited into a meeting with the NYDA. They will tell you what their requirements are. They tell you what they can possibly do for you. But you'd go there, present your business idea, give them a proper business plan. But they know exactly that this is what we want, and you don't have that. But at the end of the day, we are going to take your idea and give it to Munsemi over there, who's going to agree to the the brown envelope, whatever it is they're going to offer, but they know that it is your idea that works, that we're not going to say to you your idea is going to work, because what we're actually looking for is ideas from other people and not to fund them.
Sounds like the game is rigged. It sounds corrupt. I don't like making jokes about it. But if we don't laugh about it, we'll cry.
They would always tell you that put up a proper business plan, and they would always say that there must be engagement between the different stakeholders of these different departments and institutions involved. Let's go to a round table. Let's discuss these red tapes. Let's discuss the requirements, and let's discuss the possibilities. And you know them in their political talk and big confusing words, but they never get to exactly what needs to be done. But they would always tell you that put up a proper business plan, go knocking on these doors. But as Paul Mashatile also said, the Deputy President, is that we must engage. We must engage and discuss, and people need to then apply for these things, because people have these questions as we speak, and they don't discuss them, they don't talk about them, they don't speak, and at the end of the day, they refrain from taking advantage of these opportunities because they're always thinking one thing: red tape. Red tape.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of opportunities out there if only different stakeholders could meet each other halfway in terms of reducing or making it easier for these red tapes to be met or even to be eradicated, so that people can be able to successfully apply for these grants that are out there for small businesses.
Those carrots. So that's exactly it. And I think perhaps we should have led with this right at the beginning. But the purpose of the call, the purpose of the video is there's a bunch of government funding that's available. And I say that in inverted commas because it's very difficult for the everyday person of the street to access that funding. And you're going into the solutions there's funding. It's very difficult for the people to access without the right knowledge. And some people say it's not what you know, it's who you know, without the right relationships. My advice to all solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners out there is to actually start. The first thing, my advice would be is start. Once you start, you can start making mistakes and start learning. If you don't do that, you'll be stuck in your job forever, and your business is not going to go anywhere. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, while you are learning about accessing government funds, you should be trying to do the first thing every business needs to do in order to start. Get your first client. Get your first client. And everyone I know in the entrepreneurship game, they got their first client and it was a mess. They made mistakes, but they learned. If you get the first client with the expectancy that everything is going to go right, get that out of your mind. You're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you're going to expect not to make any mistakes. Expect to make these mistakes, welcome them, and understand that at least somebody is exchanging money for service or goods from you, and you're able to deliver that. The mistakes around the logistics, you'll get that. And then from there, you'll build and grow and build and grow. But yeah, Thulani, can you take us through some of the workarounds? Yeah, sorry, say again?
Funny you should say that, because with my company named Makashela Holdings, which you mentioned earlier, that's exactly how I started. I told myself that this is a simple idea I have, built on the everyday struggles of job seekers. And I lived this experience. I know and I saw it, and I told myself that, look, I'm going to start this company without funding. The funding will meet me there. The funding will meet me there. If somebody sees the potential, and then if I get to an opportunity to then get that funding, but I'm not going to stop and cry. I'm going to do something about it. So I started Makashela Holdings, which also educated young people about how to find jobs, simple jobs. I mean, what is the behavior of a job seeker? and what is also a peek into the life of a job seeker. What should they do? And I got a couple of people together who were jobless at the time. I gave them training. I taught them how to behave in interviews. Should they get invited for an interview, how to then get and attract those interviews. And then I was invited to a meeting by one of the recruiters in town, which
Right.
instead of disqualifying me, they gave me a lot of notes in
Yes.
terms of how to improve my company and how to improve on my processes to then meet their requirements as an employer, to then
Right.
take a couple of my trainees. So that's how I learned going forward. And we started in 2016, and we are still here to this day. We have grown and developed and also branched into other products.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that is a core of our business.
Now I love it up. Now you're in marketing. Now you're in edtech. Now you're in quite a few things, filling up that portfolio, and that's amazing. And you know what's also cool and important is another purpose of us making these videos is you will have people in that position that are too afraid to start, and maybe even people in your position that started and are feeling so lost. And you know, when I was in that position, I struggled to find people to mentor. And I did find the right people eventually, and I would say that that is a massive percentage of my success, is being able to learn from people around me. And I mean, you might think that what you've learned is simple and straightforward, but there are people that really want to learn that, and people that watch the video, and all we're doing this for is that maybe that one person or those two people that would be grateful for understanding there are other people out there. They have overcome these challenges, and you know, maybe even reach out and have discussions around this, or make the discussion more interactive. But red tape and those carrots that are dangled, you know, it really defeats people in business, because they think that's the only method of getting your business going. And they think, I've got to work on this, and they spend a year or two, and sometimes even longer, trying to get that government funding, when you could just get your first client. And then you would find, like many other entrepreneurs that I know, including myself, you don't need the government funding. I worked myself up into a point where I didn't need it anymore. So I think that's something that adds value to the people that watch, and maybe to the people who that's and the people who don't watch, that'll be shared. So that will be valuable to people that watch, and hopefully people that they share with. Thulani, is there anything else that you want to add to the workaround? Or in closing, while we tie up our video for today?
No, not much, except for people mustn't put themselves in boxes, or actually in one box, and thinking, okay, I want to start a business. Obviously, I need to have a proper watertight business plan. No. People must just go out there, start their business. Start, my brother, start.
That's it.
Start. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. But big businesses started from a simple idea.
That's it.
And they've developed and grown into big businesses. Look at also Makashela Holdings, for instance. We have also developed into a debt removal company, a debt mediation company, helping people with also another challenge, applying for their own personal finance. That there are issues around that they don't know, underlying issues that they don't know, that are preventing them from getting these much needed loans that they want, or even the dangers of relying on loans. That is what we've developed from a simple idea. Just get started. Now, even if you have to take a simple notepad and pen and write exactly what it is that you want to do, the how, you will see, you will get to it later, but just do it.
Thulani, you've just given me an idea. I think maybe we should do another video, and let's talk about getting your first clients and making your first mistakes. Maybe that would be the right follow-up to this conversation. And just 2 points on there is use ink thoughts, write down, work through your goals, write them down. It exists in the physical world once you write it down. It starts to mean something. And then the next thing is making mistakes is what people are really scared of doing. and we're scared of that because that's what we were taught at school. Don't make mistakes, you get in trouble, you get penalized. But it's the only reason why anybody ever gained any success is because they became more tolerant of failure. I had over 20 failed businesses before I found and built 2 that worked, and that actually became something. You know, how many failed projects have you had before you got to the ones that worked?
Whoa.
You lost count because you've become strong and you grew a thick skin when it came to becoming comfortable with failure, because we understood, like Bob Proctor said, Thomas Edison found that inventing the light bulb, he didn't fail 9,999 times. It was a 10,000 step process. Put your faith in that. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Chilani, and thank you for everyone, whoever's watching and sharing. We made this content for you.